So the funny thing, if I go right into it, the funny thing this morning when I opened my laptop, I saw the news coming, as I do every morning, and again, as probably every morning for the last weeks or months since May, probably the headline was COVID. COVID will change the way we work forever. That's one of those headlines we see all the time. And to a certain extent, that's probably true. But people like us, I think we see it in a little bit different way. That also pre-COVID or post-COVID, more people will work like other people's have been starting to do so already, right? Because if we're looking at the way people were working, there were fundamental changes already before February 2020. The financial crisis hit a decade ago. The knowledge economy emerged. The globalization came, and with it came decentralized teams, accidental expats, agility, and all those new ways of working together, which basically had one common denominator, and that was flexibility, right? So in the true old-fashioned sense of form following function, workplaces needed to change with it. So workplaces needed to become more flexible. And as is often the case, when you need to change an industry, the change, the innovation, the disruption, the new ideas don't come from within that industry. And in the case of co-working, and in the case of the future of work, that was also true. And as is often the case these days, those ideas came mainly, a lot of those ideas came from the startup scene, and they came from how people were working in the Silicon Valley or Silicon Alley, if you wish, and from companies like Google. Hence what we saw, and what made co-working kind of possible was a paradigm called space as a service, where the idea was to transform landlords from rent collectors to service providers. And the service in that term ranges from functional bits like fit out and furniture to connectivity, and also to services that I always call the cute little extras, like the community events, and like the zeitgeist beverages in beautiful small kitchens and all those good things. And of course that works. And of course that's very inspiring because who doesn't want to work on a Google campus, right? It's a very aspiring and emotionally relevant feature. On the other hand, space as a service, and then there was open plan architecture. And open plan obviously is a very handy component if you want to restructure buildings to become more flexible. It works very well. And B, if you look at what Eric Schmidt, and that's again, is going back to Google being an inspiration, what Eric Schmidt wrote in his book, How Google Works, in I think 2014 or something, he said that we need to put all creative people, or as many of them as possible, in one room to work together, and that would automatically yield explosively good results, as he called it. Hence, the idea of co-working was born, and it doesn't really matter that ever since a lot of studies came out saying open plan isn't really that efficient, and it isn't really that productive, and Harvard Business School wrote one of those studies. Co-working was basically born, and with that a new category was born. And when the first concept within a category becomes a success, and a success co-working as WeWork, despite all the turmoil around WeWork, a success it has become, the defining pillars of such a concept become immutable, kind of. A concept that was developed for a certain clientele, in a certain location, gateway cities mostly, in a certain kind of real estate, Class A buildings mostly, is kind of rolled out around the world as the only viable answer to the future of work. Want a new way to work? Join the co-working tribe. It's a kind of a take it or leave it offer. If you look at another market though, as we set out to do at the Central European market, does that paradigm really work? It is still a very aspirational model to follow, because again, who wouldn't want to work in a Googleplex or a Google campus? But if you really think it through, does it really work? If you look at the reality of Central European business districts, if you look at commercial real estate here, and if you consider what it takes to actually make WeWork work, we think they can get it to work probably in 10% of the real estate landscape, maybe 15, if that much. And if they get all the real estate that they need for that, and that's clearly not bad. 10% of the cake is not a bad share, but wouldn't it be cool to have a solution for the remaining 90%? And if you look at the remaining, or at the existing real estate landscape, at the neighborhoods that we have in Central European cities, we don't think they need a new product invading it with a solution that draws a new clientele to the neighborhood and create another island within that neighborhood. We don't believe they need another product invading it. They need new ideas to activate it, which is what we set out to do. We don't think they need to restructure the inventory to change all the way every single office looks. And we don't think they can do that due to the fragmented ownership of all those buildings and areas. We think they need to build connectivity among them. They need to build connectivity between existing spaces to create a future work concept that works for the 90% that a model like WeWork, like traditional co-working, can't actually apply to in Central Europe. So imagine, what if the WeWork model is not immutable? What if there's another model of co-working born out of a paradigm of, as we call it, open source inventory? A smart way of ownership for and a smart way of occupation for existing structures within neighborhoods, within existing structures, a conscious shift away from the static silos of redundant space and service to a spirit of collaboration and participation within a hyper-local neighborhood. So if we move our minds back to a second about what I said before about the flexibility that's needed, when it comes to Central European real estate and to commercial real estate, what's actually needed is flexibility, the in co-working, the community, the collaboration. That's all very good and well, and it's emotionally very relevant, especially to the newer generations. They all want community. It's what makes them tick. We know that. And it's very important. But if we go one step back to the baseline, what's needed first and foremost is space on demand, flexible space on demand within a neighborhood, and where you then activate the community that exists already as the second layer upon that fundamental need. But the fundamental need, we believe, is space on demand. So while pre-COVID, the fundamental problem was probably most tenants had not the right kind of space, right? They had a mismatch between the space they rented at some point due to their demands at that point, and they leased it long term. And now, due to the changing demands of how people work and what makes people happy and what tenants need, the mismatch accelerated between what they had and what they need. Now post-COVID, or well, post would be nice, right? Within COVID and also post-COVID, people probably have too much space. You know, we have a recession coming up, and we have people who are now accustomed to work from home and to be allowed to work from home or work from wherever, and they're not going to give that right back anytime soon. So landlords will have the problem that their tenants have the problem of having too much space, yet still probably having too little of the right space. So let us imagine what we do at Denizen. Let us imagine a model where, rather than treating their leases as a cost factor, tenants could see that as a monetizable asset, where tenants could actually be empowered to unlock their leases as a monetizable asset, like Airbnb does it for owners of private real estate. A model that would unlock co-working to what I said, to the remaining 90% of a neighborhood that WeWork and other models can't touch. A model that, on the way, would support the process of digitizing a commercial real estate inventory here in Europe. When we embarked on our mission to create that co-working solution for the realities of Central European real estate, we kind of had a eureka moment when we realized we actually don't have to lease thousands of square meters of real estate and then restructure it for the needs of co-working and then resell it at a margin, but as we see in the recession, also at a high risk. We don't need to do that. We can digitally activate surplus inventory in specific neighborhoods, and we can create space on demand within existing structures, activating an ecosystem, I said that before, rather than ignoring it, rather than invading it with just another product with maybe a margin, but with an effect on the neighborhood that is marginal at best. So if you look at our manifesto, and it's there on the page, Denizen is developing the next generation neighborhood. And we don't want to stop at space as a service. We also want to provide convenience and service on demand. So as you, Wouter, said before, what we always say, we want to provide space with a service. That's basically what we're there to do. if we now become a little bit more concrete, activating a neighborhood, what does it mean for us? For us, it means we have a physical component on the one hand, and we have a digital component on the other hand. The physical is a hub. It's a third place, if you're, for those of you who are familiar with that term, which grants members access to a flexible space and even more so intelligent services that are mostly needed during the time between home and work, or work and work. So services that they don't have in their office, but they need to survive the daily hassle. That we're all there. And we're listing a few, like concierge services, food retail, community programming, of course, and for example, showers and changing facilities for all of those who have something before work or after work, and they can't get that in otherwise. And we support that by a digital layer. If phygital, that's such a buzzword right now, but if that wouldn't exist, we probably would have had to coin it, because we strongly believe that a physical hub needs a layer of high tech, high touch, where we can actually handle all the interfaces, all the logistic interfaces by smart technology, so people and the hosts can actually focus on having human interactions, on being hosts, on being part of a neighborhood, on being part of the community. On the other hand, we also need those physical hubs to accomplish another phygital thing, being a physical service center to quality control, to service, and to manage our digital platform, the tenant empowerment platform, as we call it. So another physical thing, adding service to the digital world by creating a full-blown 360 offer, where actually people can rent or sell out their inventory, but we make sure we manage it, we service it, and we make sure it works. So who are we as a company? We are a team of 9 currently, as you see if you go to our website. This is denizen.com. And we don't really believe that endogamy is the key to evolution or to innovation. So we're a pretty diverse bunch of people, a pretty diverse of highly experienced individuals from different industries. Between the founders, we've launched and sold tech startups before. We have helped to create, launch, manage, and operate a few of the most successful disruptor hospitality brands on the planet. Think 25 Hours, think Citizen M from Amsterdam, that Wouter you're probably very familiar with. And we have advised between us a large variety of global hospitality brands, as well as international brands from other industries. But we're all aligned as a team to bring our hospitality mindset to the real estate industry. And we're also all aligned to define a new category within future work, which is the next generation neighborhood, as we call it. So as much as we love to talk, and as much as we like to enlighten people about our ideas and share ideas and discuss and debate, we obviously didn't join this event today without a second thought, which is we actually need something as well. And we are actively looking right now for space. So we're actively looking for high street retail locations in the right neighborhoods in Central European cities like Berlin, like Munich, like Frankfurt, like Zurich, Vienna, Amsterdam, but also Eastern European cities like Prague, Budapest, or Warsaw. And when we say we look for space, first of all, we look for space for our physical hubs, which need to have a certain minimum size, which is about 450 square meters. In an average retail location, we don't need the prime location. We need the right neighborhood rather than the right and shiny building. It all needs to be within a certain radius of a suburban transport hub. It needs to be in a certain radius, or within a neighborhood where within a certain radius we have a sizable number of occupants that we could actually service. We think 3,000 plus is a healthy number. And obviously to launch the tenant empowerment platform, we need a sizable, dense neighborhood that within a certain radius has a certain number of companies and residents and households, and the numbers are on the screen. And we like to do that to provide that neighborhood within what we call a hyper-local neighborhood. We have the metaphor of PLZ, which means Postleitzahl, which is a German term for zip code. So we actually like a pretty dense and diverse neighborhood where we can actually launch our tenant empowerment platform, which what we call the Denizen marketplace. That's basically the very brief introduction to what we're set out to do. We obviously would love everyone to follow the journey. We have a website. This is denizen.com. We have a LinkedIn page. You see the link on the screen, and we started last week, and we will actually distribute and share a lot of ideas and content. And we like to all of you actually to participate, to reach out, to comment, to feedback, to throw in ideas, to follow our journey, and to which we actually like to make as transparent as possible, to take as many people as possible on that journey with us.
Nice.
I think this would be the beginning.
Yeah, thank you, Matthias. That was amazing. Yeah, that was a nice journey already for 1 week, I guess. And I am very privileged that you are with me on this Zoom call with together with 13 attendees. So that's amazing. I have a couple of questions, of course, to you. I didn't know, we did speak a couple of months before already about what you guys are doing, but then there was no name yet. So I had to Google it. Why the name Denizen?
Why the name Denizen? Maybe first of all, because I'm sure not everybody has Googled it. As you have, denizen, if you look at the meaning of the name, is an inhabitant or frequenter of a place or a neighborhood, a resident in a neighborhood. It could even be a regular at a bar. So someone who kind of belongs to a neighborhood and a place. And as there's obviously such a clever name, it admittedly came via accident to us. So we didn't hire a naming agency or anything. We basically stumbled upon it, and then we thought, wait a minute, isn't that exactly what we are? Isn't that kind of like exactly what we want to be? Because denizen is about a neighborhood, which is what we want to be. It's about an ecosystem rather than a product. It's about a natural habitat, if you wish, rather than an implanted subculture like so many other attempts are. And most of all, probably it implies that sense of belonging, which is important to us. Because when we say we want to connect building, most of all, we want to connect neighborhoods by connecting the people within it. And those people in a neighborhood come obviously in different capacities. Some own buildings, landlords. Some rent space, the tenants, like the employers. And some actually go there every day to work there. And we feel there's been a huge disconnect between all those groups within neighborhoods. So we want to connect those people by connecting buildings, by creating an infrastructure and a neighborhood. And also we don't want to curate those people by caste like a Soho House would do. You know, only if you're cool enough, only if you're in advertising or whatever can you be a member. No, you can be a member of denizen because you are a denizen, because you live or work in a certain neighborhood, and that qualifies you to be one of us because you are already by being there.
So everybody is allowed to join.
Everybody is allowed to be a denizen because as the name implies, if you're a regular in a certain neighborhood, you are by definition a denizen, and we want to activate that. We don't want to add new people to a neighborhood. We want to activate all the opportunities and all the potential that lies within such a neighborhood, which is basically why the name is as it is.
I think it's great. We have already one question, Matthias, from V20. Is there already a template planned in terms of how services, food and beverage, concierge, showers, etc., will be laid out within commercial office space, or will it be rolled out on bespoke case by case basis?
There's both, actually. We obviously started with a template which we developed with a London-based architecture firm on a generic layout to actually make sure from a feasibility study kind of standpoint that it actually works within a certain amount of square meters. Which is also, as we're now in the process of actually working both on the experience design, we have an experience designer in the team, and on the specific customer journeys, both online and offline. We're actually deconstructing that, obviously, and we're in the process of finalizing that. And then, of course, if you want to be part of a neighborhood, you actually have to kind of like adapt yourself to the neighborhood. So the one size fits all kind of layout or style or whatever is definitely not our thing. So we will take our structures and designs as a basic framework, which we will then adapt to the specific location, the specific need, the specific psychodemographics of the neighborhood and everything. So there will be a common denominator, but there will be a huge part of hyper-local adaptation.
Yeah. So next question that I have to you. You started talking in your presentation about well, open plan, open source. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, exactly. Open plan, as you might have sensed in my in my little talk, is a concept that I personally am not especially thrilled about when it comes to its impact on productivity and efficiency. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter whether you think open plan works as an office layout or not. The thing is, if you put open plan architecture as a defining pillar of co-working, then you have, or you do that out of the belief set that you can fix future of work problems, opportunities within a single building. And we don't believe that. We believe the future of work solutions lie by connecting buildings to a network. There's a quote by a gentleman called Rob Pollack, who I think calls himself a rethinker of business and cities, and or of buildings and city, and a rethinker he is. He's a fantastic gentleman, and I can warmly recommend to
for sure
follow him on LinkedIn, because he puts out essential writing like others do, like it's nothing basically. And he said, and I have this somewhere.
I will say it for you. He says the space of the future is not a single space. It's a network of locations connected together by sophisticated software and a layer of other services.
Exactly, and that is
I guess that's the quote that you're talking about.
That is exactly the quote, and that's exactly the mindset that we're having. We don't believe the future of work can be solved within a building or within a set of hermetically disconnected buildings. We have to open up the interfaces basically to use the respective inventory of many buildings in a spirit of participation and collaboration. Hence, open plan cannot be the solution. It can be the solution within a building, but it's not going to solve future of work. Open source will do, we believe.
So you believe that people are going to work on one day in different kind of buildings to do separate kind of tasks or stuff like that?
Exactly. We believe that certain work tasks and certain team setups for like agile team meetings or sprints need different configurations of teams, hence different configurations of workplaces. And you as a company, and especially in Central Europe, where most tenants are SMEs, they're small, medium enterprises, you can't have all that space. And if you do have all that space, it's empty most of the time. So we believe it's an idea to basically invest in the neighborhood to have all the spaces you might need and then share them.
Yeah. That's great. But what are you? What is denizen? Is it like a PropTech company? Is it a co-working company? Or given your background with also Citizen N, are you more like an hospitality company? What are you? Yeah,
that's a category question, right? It's actually it's a good question. And here's another good question. What's an iPhone? Is an iPhone a phone? Or is it a camera? Or is it a wallet? Or is it a GPS? An iPhone basically is an interface that you have to other people, to companies, to your tasks, to your gadgets, to your house, whatever. So we kind of believe denizen is an interface between neighborhoods and offices and people. It's an interface which has, as I said, a physical component, which is a hub, and it has a digital component, which is a platform. So are we co-working? Yes, we're co-working. But as I said, we believe we're a new answer to co-working.
Yeah.
Are we PropTech? I don't know. We're probably more neighborhood tech than PropTech, because again, we're not focusing on buildings, but we're focusing on neighborhoods.
Yeah, on the environment.
Exactly. If I talk about open source, of course, the line between neighborhood tech and PropTech is obviously not a fixed one. And of course, I mean, given our background, we have a huge hospitality background, and as I said, we're aligned to bring hospitality within real estate. And that's not only true for the loungy bit of the hub. It's not just that we create a lobby without rooms. Also, the way we tackle the platform has a lot of thinking in it, from distribution of hotel rooms, from yielding, and all those things. So we're a bit all of that.
So, Matthias, it sounds like a little bit the Airbnb for commercial real estate, correct?
That's what we like to say. Yeah, it's a little bit like the Airbnb for commercial real estate. On the other hand, if you put out such an offense statement like we are the Airbnb for real estate, that's quite an offensive kind of statement you have in if you think about debate culture, you need a strong terminal defense statement, and we're fully aware that the first contradiction is, but those space aggregators don't work, because Airbnb is successful mostly, or at least in a huge part, because hosts do a fantastic job of welcoming people to their apartment, to their neighborhood. So the check-in process is one that's very caring, frictionless, emotional, human, and all those good things. And if you look at a tenant who sublets his conference room, will he or she be able and willing to give that experience? Probably not. They either don't have the time or the skill set or the motivation to do that. So, which is why we believe that we need to add that service center within that same neighborhood in close proximity to the inventory, which is why we also focus on those hyper-local neighborhoods. We want to have a physical service center to manage it, to quality control it, and to service it, which is again why we want to move beyond space as a service.
Yeah.
Because we think that there needs to be more than space as a service. There's a certain service component we have to add to the platform to actually make it work.
Anthony Slumbers, of course, talks already a long time about space as a service, and you now make it with a space with a service. I think that's really amazing. So I'm wondering also how he thinks about this. So we're going to ask that question to him for sure. But how do you see people reactions the last week about, with this new terminology, actually, space with a service? How did they react?
They reacted in general very positively. It was a kind of like interesting thing, because when we talked about the hub, which we did for the majority of the first months, people were always saying that's actually a nice add-on. But as soon as we were moving more towards space with a service and the Airbnb for Siri, the reactions became really enthusiastic, as in people, especially in Central Europe, really understood that that's what was missing before, basically. So the service component to that, and that's obviously that's more than one service component, right? First of all, we service everyone in the equation of that platform, right? So we're there for the landlord if it's like commissionable, for example, what we do, and we make sure he keeps his occupation levels. We service a landlord in renting out the inventory and in actually executing the actual stay, if you wish, at the place. And we service the actual workforce, and we do that massively also through the hub, where we have all those concierge services and community services, of course, and we actually add to their lives with that. But we also make their lives easier by taking away a lot of hassle and integrating a lot of their daily tasks into one place. So again, we're a little bit like the iPhone, which integrates so many tasks into one interface, one device. So the hub tends to do that, and we tend to reduce a phenomenon that is called the paralysis that we have when we can't fix all the errands that we have to, the errand paralysis. But actually, we have so much to do besides work that we actually are paralyzed by the amount of it and the time we have to spend within work. Well, we can't actually do that we get nothing done, and we get frustrated and all that. So we see it also as a simplification of lives as much as it is enriching lives.
So maybe I have a difficult question for you, Matthias, and it's a question that is maybe not, it's not a question that's maybe relevant, but I'm going to ask it to you. What would you have preferred, that COVID would not be there, or that COVID is there? Because it is a massive impact on commercial real estate.
Yeah, I think nobody in his right mind would prefer COVID to be there. For the obvious reasons.
No, but
from a purely cynical.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. Is it good for your business that the COVID is here because everybody is now awake? We need to do something.
It is an acceleration. Obviously, it is an acceleration, as it is with many other trends. I mean, there's obviously a growing awareness for new ways you could work, actually, and there's a growing allowance of it. So companies and bosses who actually would have heard about work from anywhere, but wouldn't have thought it was possible or wouldn't have liked it, are now forced to accept it and learning that it works. And it obviously will take a lot of those trends a little bit faster than they were before, which is obviously good for us. But then, of course, a thing like COVID could actually always hit an economy so hard that it's not good for anyone. So
No.
I would have preferred people to wake up to new developments without being forced to do so by a virus. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's a nice answer to that question. Well, you state on your website that Berlin is your first state. Why are you seamlessly obvious cities like London or other gateway cities missing in your location search?
Yeah, they're missing. Yes, they are missing. Because we believe our model is perfectly designed for Central European realities. You know, as much as I said in the beginning, a model that was developed in international gateway cities like London, New York, and stuff like that wouldn't really work in our environment. I think the opposite is true as well. I think our model isn't specifically made for an environment that is mostly Class A buildings owned by one owner, offering 20,000 or more square meters of space, centralized facility management, and all those things. That's the environment WeWork is made for. That's their home turf, basically. And why would we go there at first when our model is actually not made for that? Central Europe is all about Class B buildings, or C even. It's mostly apartments converted into offices. It's a very fragmented ownership. The spaces are smaller. They're like 2,000 2,000 square meter office spaces, then divided into smaller units occupied by SMEs. And we believe that's the scenario where our solution is made for. So we don't want to be a counterweight to WeWork for the 10% where they're good at. We want to be a counterpart to serve the remaining 90 or 85%. We believe that's our mission, and that's where our task lies, and that's where we want to be true to. So yes, we look for Central European cities, as I said, Munich, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Brussels, and not, at least not now, for other cities. There's obviously an argument saying that a neighborhood could be a vertical one, but we don't believe that's our mission right now.
Okay. Well, Peter is also asking a question. Applications, selections is very often used to set up expectations, values, wanted behaviors to create the safe space. Is there already an idea or alternative to ensure respectful interactions among members and that denizens feel comfortable within their community?
Well, I think yes, if you restrict basically your membership by some sort of selection process that might ensure certain like-mindedness, hence certain form of respect or whatever. But we believe a neighborhood does the same thing. So we're by definition not that kind of space aggregator where people can come from wherever for a day and then go away forever. We mainly occupy in a neighborhood, so we serve people within a neighborhood, and that also adds a level of belonging and a level of trust and a level of respect. And if we have people from outside of the neighborhood, they would probably, or they would most definitely be associated to the neighborhood. So it's not strangers per se. So it's not neighbors. And obviously we do when we talk about the platform, we do add the quality control of using data and using intelligence to match the right people to the right space. So we probably would not put the most creative, freakish advertiser in a bank office. You know what I mean? So we would still try on the platform to match who we put in which building. So there's a certain level of like-mindedness and quality and trust and respect and certain values that apply to both tenant and guest, basically.
Yeah, great. Amazing. Well, last question that I have to you, Matthias. What can we expect to see next from Denizen?
Well, I hope a lot of good things. Ideally, as I said, we aim to launch the first tenant empowerment platform in Q4 of this year. Hence, activating the first neighborhood, which we're actively in negotiations about right now. And also ideally have a first hub secured by the end of the year. And we are, as I said, we're working right now on the experience design of the hub. We're working on the customer journeys, which are integrated journeys on and offline. So we're not create an offline journey and then trying to add gadgets that are online to it. But we actually at each step of the journey look which is the ideal solution to what step. And as I said before, I mean, we will launch a lot of content and thoughts and stuff on our channels, on our website. This is denizen.com, and on LinkedIn, and we're happy to we are happy to have some participation, obviously, in sharing your thoughts, your feedback, your ideas. Obviously, we are happy to get fantastic neighborhoods and locations.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, we will probably also go in a new investment round. But for now, we don't.
Well, nice. So probably Berlin is going to be first.
It looks like that, yes.
It looks like that. So when that news is out there, I'm hoping that we all can travel way more than we can right now. So we can all come and visit wherever it is.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be great.
But again, the good thing about our concept is that we're about a neighborhood. So we're pretty much independent of people being able to fly.
Yeah, of course, I understand. But I would like to see it.
Of course, yeah, and we will be very happy to welcome you and to.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. So I guess, Matthias, that is it.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure that you had us give us the opportunity to share our mission here. Thank you to everyone out there who I obviously haven't seen, but I really appreciate your time and your interest, and I sure hope it was enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you for being here with us on Global PropTech, and it was great to have you this early in your existence of Denizen. And I would like to wish you all the best, and hope that we get to have a lot of neighborhoods in the upcoming years. That would be great.
Really, Wouter, thank you very much.
With a lot of space with a service, of course.
Absolutely so.
So good luck, Matthias, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone.